you've learned to put the warrior down, Maria. You've learned to retire her. What does the warrior understand? Cannons, battle horses, knights,
Yeah.
swords, bombs. That's what a warrior understands. What about one who no longer wants to be a warrior? So let's stop being warriors. Why? Because you still have war as the focus of how you're defining yourself.
Yes. Hello, hello, Heal Squad. Welcome back. Excited for today's episode. We're going to start with our quote of the day, though. The way of surrender is the way of victory. And that is from Riz, who is on the show today with us again. I'm so
I was like,
excited.
I was like, that sounds really good and
Sounds really
familiar.
familiar. The way of surrender is the way of victory. What a quote. Again, from my friend and incredibly gifted psychic medium, trance channel, and shaman, Riz Mirza. If you guys missed his last visit to the show, Riz blew us all away with his ability to channel spirit, including messages from my late mom that I hold close to my heart. Today, we're going to be starting the new year by diving into what's ahead for 2025. Riz has such a unique way of helping us understand the collective energy and how we can navigate life's challenges with trust and clarity. Plus, we're revisiting his spot on prediction of the 2024 presidential election outcome. And I got to say, you don't want to miss what Riz is seeing for the year ahead. So let's get into it. Riz, I'm so excited to see you. You have no hair now,
Yeah,
no
it's
visible hair at the
no
moment. I know
visible
it's under
here.
there.
It's hibernating. It's under the cover of snow right now, waiting to
Okay.
burst forth into spring. I'm giving, well, I had long hair my whole life, and I think this is interesting to talk about, not because it's about me, but it's because it's about change, and it's about embracing change and not fighting the forces of nature that are happening at all times. For,
Mm.
for me, I turned 55 this last year, and I was standing in front of the mirror one morning and I was doing my mohawk and I was putting a little beard dye in my hair, in my beard, as some guys we do it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no. And I looked at the clippers and I didn't consult my wife or the kids or my friends. And I just went in the bathroom
No
and threw
way.
away the dye. And listen, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't do those things. I'm just saying at that moment in my life, it wasn't
For you.
my truth anymore. And I was feeling this urge to just be the way that I am right now. And that was a surrender. That was a leap because my entire life I had really long hair and down to my waist and here, then the mohawk. And sometimes it becomes part of an identity. And that's all fine and good if it's authentic to you at the moment. But if
Yeah.
something is brewing underneath, and I had a fear, okay, I even had a fear of like, well, who am I without the long hair or the mohawk or, you question yourself as you should, right? And these things arise. That's the force of nature rising up in you saying, "Hey, do you want to take a leap? You want to change somewhere?" And change has to be in the area of where there's some fear. If there's some fear, it triggers fear in you of your own survival, your own future. I'd say step into that spot. Step into that spot and look at it and breathe. And don't move till the fear goes away. Go to that edge of the canyon and look over and you're afraid of falling. Okay, just sit down at the edge, maybe a few feet back, and sit there till the fear starts to dissipate. You're going to go through these undulations of fear. We were talking before this started about a year ago when people definitely did not think that Trump was going to win the election. People definitely thought he's at a low point. He's being accused of all of these things, and public support is has waned, and he is kind of a thing of the past. And so a lot of psychics were not going to comment on it because being a psychic, a lot of and I want to talk about demystifying some things about psychic perceptions and psychic ability. It's not that psychics are supposed to know everything. It's like saying, well, if you're a great singer, you should be able to sing 6 octaves. No, you're going to sing what is in your capacity and what notes you're supposed to sing, deemed by the universe, God, whatever words you want to use. So I feel that a good psychic really knows when not to say anything because they don't really have the clear information. That's a good psychic, and says what is coming through for them. So I'm not the type of psychic that goes, hey, those other psychics were wrong. Ha ha, I was right. Never, 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 because not
Mm.
all of us are right 100% of the time. Now, what is right? We are kind of like, we feel into energies that are beyond the conscious mind. That means that I don't give advice in my psychic readings. You could be a very wise person and give advice to a person. But when I do a reading, I may say things that the person doesn't think is a good idea or doesn't want to do or doesn't feel good to them. Like when I gave the prediction about Trump, a lot of people were like, even my friends who were not his supporters, some of them were like, why'd you say that? I said, why'd I say it? I say because what I saw. Oh, it's not going to happen, Riz. I go, listen, if it makes you happy that I was wrong, if I am end up being wrong, it's fine with me. You have to take it as it comes. And what I'm a firm believer in is that ultimately this entire reality that we are living in is for our self-evolution. And if you don't like that he's president, then here's what I would say to you. Understand that we are in a constant state of gestation, you might say of pregnancy. Hey, look, if you look inside the womb of a mom at maybe 2, 3 months, it's not really a beautiful baby.
Mm.
Like, I don't know if I want that to be born. No, you don't. But as time goes on, you'll understand that different stages of development may not be as aesthetically or pleasing to you, but you have to understand that this stage has to happen. That's what I would say to people who are not happy with the election results. Allow evolution to take its course. Okay? It's a foolish person who beats their fists against who tries to punch the wind. There's no point in ever doing that. But what
Yeah.
a wise person would put up a sail and said, let's use this energy that's happening now. There will be, so I speak to people who supported him and didn't support him. I speak to people who didn't support either candidate. When I say trust the evolution, know that first of all, you're not going to be here forever anyway. Okay, so if you're worried about the future of the country, listen, you're worried about it for your grandchildren. Well, those are a new group of souls coming in, knowing exactly what the state of the world is going to be when they come in, with all the skills and the capacity and the knowledge to create their reality in that 50 years from now reality. We'll all be gone. We'll be in another stage of dimension. No matter what you believe, we're certainly not going to be here.
And
So
every generation's worried about that. And it always works out some way, somehow.
I'm sure, in me being a child of the 80s, that my ancestors from the 1700s would have been mortified that I had a Walkman in my ears and playing video games. And yet it added so much to who it is that I am, the things that I loved. So we have to look and understand that with psychic energy, what we're tapping into is probable realities. That means that you've heard of different dimensions.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we prove to a person there's dimensions? I don't know what the proof will be, other than I can tell you that when you dream, that is a pretty close approximation of what a different dimension is like. We've all had dreams where, let's say I had a dream and my friend Maria is in it. I go, Maria, you were in my dream last night, but you weren't you.
Hmm.
And Kevin was there, but he wasn't Kevin, but it was you and Kevin. And then we were in my house in the Bronx, but it wasn't my house in the Bronx, but it was.
Yeah.
Haven't you have
I've said that so many times.
okay, how many people have had that now?
Yeah.
Let me ask everybody who's watching also. Nod your head in approval whenever you're watching this. Haven't you had dreams where you fell back like this into the bed? Everyone I've ever asked that to has said, yes, I've fallen back. It feels like I'm falling back into my body.
Yeah.
I go, that's because you are traveling. You're astral traveling. Psychics, we call that astral travel, meaning you're projecting it into another dimension. And then your soul literally comes back into your physical body.
That's happened to me when I've meditated.
You're pretty far advanced in meditating if that happens to you. That's great. Okay.
That was like at the beginning when I was really like going in and I would leave, I would feel me leave my body and I would have a heart attack and then I'd come back.
It
And
can
then
be frightening.
Yeah, Dr. Joe was like, remember, you're one thought away from coming back. So just go and don't be afraid. And then I started going and it was so wild.
I call it, getting your dimension legs. People call it getting your sea legs. You're getting your dimension legs. So when we're dreaming, and of course I speak from the psychic's perspective, um, other healers are coming from other learned disciplines of like neurologists will tell you something else. Maybe Dr. Joe will tell you something else. But for me, as a psychic, I will tell you what's happening is you are living in other dimensions as we speak right now. That world you step into when you're dreaming exists even as we are talking and doing this podcast right now. There's a Maria, there's a Riz doing something else there.
Well, there's young and there's old of us. Like past, present, and future really is all happening at the same time in the quantum,
Ooh,
right?
you want to dive there right now? You said it was going to be a deep dive.
Yeah,
Well, you're going
it's
all the way.
true.
Okay, we call
And
that.
I think that's why we have those moments where like things just don't make sense and the synchronicities and all those things is because we are living all of these timelines. We've created time to manage our daily events
All
here
right,
on
let's talk
Earth.
about that. Awesome that you say that. We're here at the by probably when this airs, it'll be the top of the year. So let's talk about what even is a year, guys. A year is okay.
Man-made.
Our planet, right? Our planet went around the sun. Okay, well, we could have said a year is when we go around twice. We could have said that, and it would have been when we go around twice, we count that as a year. What's a baker's dozen? 13, right? You know that?
Yeah.
A baker's dozen is 13, not 12. So we created this, we created an organization of our moments, seconds, hours, weeks, years, centuries, in accordance with something that we could all agree on in nature. Okay, it looks like this big ball in the sky goes away and comes back. Let's call that one day. And then we broke it up into these different cycles. We said that's a second. Well, your heartbeat could also be a timer. So we are rhythmic, melodic, harmonious, musical, sentient beings. We have a rhythm, we have a melody to how we breathe, how our heart beats. We can measure our brainwaves and cycles. So we're constantly, our entire reality is organized by cycles and what we see as consistent happenings, which is the sun goes up, goes away. Okay, we can count on that. Or it gets colder after a certain amount of time, and then that becomes the seasons.
Mhm.
So the reason I bring this up is because we have to begin with what's our framework of thinking as we observe, contemplate, and organize this reality. How does psychic stuff fit into here? Well, some people say that this entire experience is a psychic experience, meaning we are not the body, we are not the intellect, we are not the personality. I tell people this all the time. You are not the personality because your personality can shift. You're not the intellect because that can decrease and expand. And you're certainly not the body. So, what are you? I like to say that you are the awareness that can change everything. And I don't mean that as an inspirational thing, like you can change everything. No, you are the awareness that literally can change everything with how you are receiving it. Meaning, your reality is the emotional state you are in,
Mhm.
not your environment, because you can be completely sad at a party, even at a party that's thrown for you.
Yeah. I just know from visiting the slums of Africa, I went to the place they call hell on earth, Kibera,
Mm.
where 1 million people live in a square footage that max 100,000 should live. And they were the happiest people.
That's right. My family's from India, and the level of poverty is well known across the world, especially when you go there. It's not just, I mean, it's the reality. And so I grew up with that. And I grew up in urban New York in the 70s, and the Bronx was on fire back then. Anybody can look at a documentary. But guess what? We were very happy, and we created in that borough hip hop and all this great cultural expression of art and music. And in that environment, Me growing up from an immigrant family, very sensitive and psychic, I began to really understand that the reality that we experience is the joy that we feel or not feel. So when you hear a prediction that you don't like, I will tell you, hey, don't let that dictate how happy you are because your cells don't know the difference. So if you're going to let who the president is or is not affect your consciousness from morning to night, that that's where your happiness comes from, then good luck to you and your poor cells of your body because they're listening to what your dominant vibration is. And so, as we are all on our own respective healing journeys, whether it's body, mind, or spirit, or all three, we have to remember that. And that's part of what we're stepping into in 2025 is what is the consciousness that we are surrendering to? And so the way of surrender that is my teaching is the way of surrender is the way to victory is what are you have to first know what you're surrendering to.
Mhm.
Because surrender is a word that is dragged through the mud, at least in our culture growing up.
Yeah.
If the army surrenders, they lost. If the team surrenders, they lost. What about the incredible dancer who surrenders to the music? What about
Yeah.
surrendering to the love? What about surrendering to the hug of someone who cares for you? Because you could resist it while their arms are around you, or you could surrender to it. All depends on whether you trust your reality unfolding is all for you. It's all for you. I tell people all the time, you created watching this podcast. You created me. You created Maria. You created the person next to you. You created everything around you is speaking to you. It's all you speaking to you because you wanted to go deep. You wanted a deep dive, Maria. So I'm just going there right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
I have a question. Do you
mhm,
feel like there was a woman I had on the show years ago. Her name was Anita Morjani. I'm sure you've heard of her.
I think I have.
Anita Morjani wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, and
Mm,
she had passed away and had this, whole experience where she watched her whole life as like a tapestry, and she saw that everything was all happening at the same time, past, future, present,
sure.
all of that.
Mhm.
Do you feel like our lives are all written and it really is just go on for the ride and do the best you can throughout it? Or
Not
do
at
you
all.
feel you have a lot of free will to make the changes?
Absolutely. I don't believe that it's all written. What I do believe and what I've seen as a medium is that you choose the university you're going to before you are born. So you're in between lifetimes. You're in a space, yes, with people that you know who've been in different lifetimes with you. You're with your teachers. I call them spirit guides. And you're choosing. So, what university do you want to go to? Well, what do you want to learn? What do you want to major in? Some of us major in relationships being the manner through which we're having to learn in life. Some of us, it's about money. Some of us, it's about the body. Some of us, it's about whether we are only focused solely on our intellect, because there are plenty of people who we can put in all those categories.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to choose the main players. You're going to choose what's your basic setup, the physical body that you're born into, the parents, the siblings, the environment, the demographic, the era. Then now it's on you. There are what we call soul contracts, people who show up at different points in your life, whom you do have a contract with. What's that contract? That contract is going to accentuate and illuminate the curriculum for you.
Ooh,
Here's where the spotlight comes
yeah.
because it has to get your attention, which brings
So
me
it's
to,
not fun sometimes.
of course, because here's the thing people ask me about this word manifestation, and I say, listen, if you want to understand that, you also have to understand how you are speaking to the universe. People say, well, I want only things that happen to me are that are for my highest good. I go, oh, don't do that. I go, what do you mean? I go, don't ask the universe for what's for your highest good. What if but you have to take in consideration how do you listen? Because if you're not surrendered and in a quiet and still open space, The only way to get your attention is going to be through some stuff that is really going to get your attention. And it,
Oh my, oh my, oh my, you're right. Holy moly, Riz.
yeah.
Wow, that just blew my mind.
So here's what I ask the universe. If you want my little prayer that I do, I say,
Yeah.
so universe, in 2025, anything that I need to learn,
Teach it to me gently.
yes, teach it to me. And I go further. I go, teach it to me in a way that is pleasant. I'm open to receiving learning from watching two chipmunks playing in the park. I'm going to be as open and sensitive I can that I can learn my lessons about life just by observing nature. That's for me personally. Or just observing a movie or observing, let me learn this way. I'm ready to learn this way.
Oh my God, I don't know why that makes me want to cry. It's very like
Uh,
intense right now. Oof.
That's because you've learned to put the warrior down, Maria. You've learned to retire her. What does the warrior understand? Oh, cannons, battle horses, knights,
Yeah.
swords, bombs. That's what a warrior understands. What about one who no longer wants to be a warrior?
I don't want to be a warrior
I
anymore.
don't
I
want to
don't
be
think
a
anyone
warrior.
in the Heal Squad wants to.
Please, let's stop being warriors. Why? Because you still have war as the focus of how you're defining yourself.
Yes.
So for me, the highest vibration on planet Earth actually is not peace. It's the second highest vibration. I think celebration is the highest vibration. I'd rather have 7 billion people celebrating together
Hmm.
than just meditating. I love the meditation part, but you don't meditate so that you can meditate more. You meditate so that you can go back to celebrating. Because when you were born, you weren't meditating, you were celebrating that you were born,
Yeah.
right? Okay, returning to your source code programming, which is I am here to fully express myself and to be surrendered to the uniqueness of my own self and how you see it. Because don't put it on others, because if they don't see you the way you want to be seen, you're out of luck. So,
Wow. I'm going to stop you right there. Hold that thought. Friends, it is time to kickstart the new year with healthy, glowing skin. Let's manifest that for now. Macy's is making it easy with their 7 days to better skin event. It's going to run through from January 6th to January 12th. Every day, they're offering exclusive deals on all the skincare essentials from cleansers. Sorry, my blood sugar machine's going crazy. From cleansers and toners to serums, moisturizers, sunscreen. If you've been wanting to stock up on the perfect spot treatments or that must have mask, now is your chance to score amazing deals. Each day is dedicated to a different step of your skincare routine, so you'll get everything you need to glow from head to toe. The best part, you don't have to wait to start. Shop now at Macy's and get ahead of your skincare goals. Whether you're a skincare pro or just starting to build your routine, Macy's has you covered. Don't miss out on these exclusive daily deals. Head to Macys.com now and get ready to treat your skin this January. Um, I am so excited to adjust my prayers and adjust what I'm manifesting because I feel like the one thing I have adjusted is when I ask God, I'm like, God, please help me live to my highest potential.
mm,
And help me to continue to grow, but and I'll say like, please, like, just not in a painful way, like, but I haven't really done it the way you said it, and I'm really excited because I have just been saying like, maybe let's hold on the growth for a while because I know what growth comes with, and I can't handle that anymore.
okay, thank you. All right. So, look, I don't know if you're into astrology, but I'm a Leo with
I
a Virgo.
am.
Oh, okay. So I'm a Leo with a Virgo rising and a Scorpio moon. So where my Virgo comes in is I want to tweak the most I can tweak. So how do you begin to tweak what you're saying? You have to understand, what do those words mean and look like to you? You said my highest potential. Maybe the Maria from 20 years ago, I don't know how long ago, when you were aspiring to become whom you are and your accomplishments, are we talking about, does she still hold those as the highest potential? Probably not, because she's accomplished those goals. But what does highest potential actually, you have to say it 3 times to penetrate, actually mean to you? Highest potential. I I'm starting to drift away from terminology like high and low because high seems like too much of an effort. I want to drop in more than I want to reach for.
I like that.
So I'm trying
Also,
to,
high and low comes with roller coasters, which is part of that warrior mentality. And I'm tired of the highs and lows.
okay, so we've heard the term as is above, so shall be below, the macrocosm and the microcosm. Okay, so I propose this new approach. The number one problem in the world, or at least in the top three politically, seems to be where we're getting our fuel sources from. We have wars that we all know have to do more with oil and strategic um, military movements to get to that
Mm-hmm.
valuable commodity. Okay, that commodity, oil, is a limited resource on the planet. One day the planet is going to run out of oil until it maybe generates new oil, but it's going to run out of that source. And so, what is the world hoping for? A fuel source, an energy source that is renewable and sustainable and non toxic. Renewable, sustainable, non toxic. Oh, if we could have that, imagine no pollution. What if it was free energy? Oh my goodness, that would affect the world in a giant way. So, energy is a commodity for the world, for countries. What about for the human being? Oh, extremely, extremely important. How do we know? Look around. You go on vacations and have entertainment basically to renew your energy, to rest and renew your energy. So
Mm-hmm.
now you just encompass sports, entertainment, movies, television, music, books, anything that's media to entertain you is so that you get a break. And you get a break to do what? Oh, so that I can sustain myself and renew my energy. Okay, what else? Well, I want foods that give me energy. Well, coffee gives me some energy. Sugar gives me some energy. Okay. Um, debate that as much as you want. Food gives you energy. Okay. So what else gives you energy? Love gives you energy. Being pissed off gives you energy. Oh, of course it does. Being pissed off gives you way more energy than being sad. If you're sad and sitting on the couch about being out of shape, you're probably going to eat more potato chips or whatever it is that you eat and stay on the couch. But if you get pissed, you're going to get up and go to the gym or do something about it. So anger even has some energy. I don't recommend it as a long-term fuel, but it certainly can get things going. In fact, entire social movements have started with sparks of anger, but they cannot
Mm-hmm.
continue with anger. They cannot, social movements cannot succeed through anger. They have to be through inclusivity and through peacefulness, ultimately. So, how do you get more energy? We have trillion-dollar industries on how to have more energy. Scroll through Instagram, everybody will try to sell you something to have more
Mm-hmm.
energy. Okay. We definitely know that when your mood changes, you have more energy. When your mood gets better, you have more energy. Let's just start there. We have the power to create energy because if most of us, if we heard the best news we've ever heard while we were tired,
Yep.
you'd have some energy. You'd be like, let's go. I didn't want to
Yeah.
go out, but now I want to go out.
We have all the control. We have all the power. It's literally Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and we just don't activate it. That's why it's my favorite movie. We had the power all along to click our own heels.
That is why that movie is so huge. And other movies like Harry Potter. Ultimately, Harry Potter defeated Voldemort by saying, I realize I have friends.
Mm-hmm.
I already
Yeah.
won.
Oh, what about Captain Marvel, Brie Larson? She had a really huge moment. I forget the line. It was so
Yeah,
powerful. Do you remember it?
I don't, but I know the feeling that I left with from that film.
Yeah, she was
It
like, I
was-
can't believe I allowed you to have, this over me. And maybe the team who's listening right now can send us the quote, but it was so powerful. We really do have that. Like I really made a conscious effort these last 2 days. It became very loud to me that I'm constantly catastrophizing in my brain,
Now, why do we
inside
do
of
that?
my brain.
Yeah, so we get programmed to do that, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a protection mechanism in a sense. I like for me, it's like I'm never going to be caught feeling stupid because I was trying to predict this shit. But but I said to myself, I'm like, why are you not focusing on what you want? Which is one of the things that when I was really meditating a lot every day and in my practice, I was focusing every day on what I wanted, not on what I didn't want. But what's crazy is as you get back into the pattern, it's hard to realize what you want.
Okay, let's talk about that because if we go a little bit, we pull out the camera for a moment, we zoom out with what you're talking about, how to get what we want, or what is it that we want. Our perceptions, I have to go back to basics right now, guys. So flow with me here. How we perceive everything is a mix of past experiences with something.
Mm-hmm.
And number one, let's start with that. And we use, and I'm going to give you an example in a second, we use senses differently. Sometimes we listen with our eyes, and I'm going to give you an example. We even taste with our eyes. So I love to watch Gordon Ramsay, and I love the show Hell's Kitchen. And have you ever seen it?
Mm-hmm. I was
Okay,
on
so,
it once.
okay. What? Were you really? Okay,
Yeah.
I got to find that episode. All right, so there's a test that Gordon Ramsay does with these chefs. It's called the taste test, blind taste. And so he basically puts a blindfold over them and headphones on, and he chops these different foods up into the same consistency, and he puts a spoon of it in their mouth. They have to tell him what it is, and it's simple stuff: carrots, peas, eggs, apples, cucumbers, stuff that we all of us know what it tastes like. And
Mm-hmm.
these are chefs who've been working with
Yeah.
these ingredients. They are wrong more than half of the time. They put literally tomatoes in this guy's mouth, and he's like, eggs. You confuse tomatoes for eggs? Give them peas in their mouth.
That's crazy.
And then they're like, cucumber? And they're trained to be able to taste the difference. So their visual perception is completely connected to their taste, their sense of taste. So I know that's the cucumber. So now the expectations start.
Mm-hmm.
This proves it. You don't even know. And these are people who are trained to know the difference. Good luck for us. So I don't taste cucumbers because I don't see cucumbers. What does that mean? Oh, where else are you doing that in your life with expectations? So you don't really even know what's happening. How many times have all of us spoken to another person where we're trying to convince them of a reality we know to be true to kind of set them on the track, and they cannot see it for the life of them?
Yeah.
And then you just have to just love that person anyway and wait. You're like, well, they're going to learn. And then you wait. And then later, hopefully they say a year later, I can't believe I didn't see that. Oh, I tried to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You had not developed the sensitivity and peace within yourself to hearing or even tasting a reality that was so simple.
Mm-hmm.
So when we surrender as a way of your victories, you're surrendering to the great sensitive part of you. We're all sensitivity. It's just how do you use that sensitivity? My if when I was a kid, I started getting messages from the other side, maybe in some other culture 1,000 years ago, they've been like, he's possessed, he's channeling spirits. It's like, are you listening to the message? It's very empowering. I don't care. Channeling is wrong. Okay, right. So, because you have the belief, therefore, what's in front of you no longer can receive.
Mm.
So, you have to work on changing the belief. Otherwise, you're going to constantly miss out. What if we didn't change? What if we didn't grow? I like to challenge myself in little ways where I go, what if I did it this way? But it takes a lot to get there. I want to talk to you about little changes. Do you play golf?
No, not officially. I took
Okay.
one lesson last year, knocked it
Okay.
out of the park, and then I was like, oh, this is
I
kind of
don't, I-
tiring.
got it. I don't play golf, but I've observed it mentally for years. And I'm going to show you guys something. And everybody watching, I want you to really pay attention to this because it will help you a lot. So I want you to imagine that I'm holding a golf club here in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to keep focusing on my hand, and I'm going to show you the difference between winning and losing. Ready? Here we go. One, two, three. I think I moved maybe an eighth, a 16th of an inch,
Yeah.
or like this. That's going to completely change the trajectory of the ball. Now, you might say, that's such a small change, Riz. I go, actually, physically, you're right. It's a 16th of an inch. But the big change was, how does a person get to know when to do that change? That little change is going to make the ball go right towards the hull.
Yeah.
But you have to know. You have to have the self awareness to make that change. That's where the big work happens.
And get good at it too, because just knowing it is different than learning how to apply it really well.
All right. So now, how do we bring all of this wonderful talk a little bit more back into the understanding of, well, how does psychic stuff work? What we're doing, what a good psychic does, is they're able to read and feel the energy of where that ball is going by their understanding of how you're holding things, how you're holding the golf club. Simply put, you haven't even picked up the golf club yet, and we're like, the energy's going that way. So we just tell you. Now you say, well, how do you help them change that reality? Because the ball's going to go into the trees. Well, let me look into that. They have to become more sensitive. Okay, so the person says, is this thing going to happen for me? Whatever it is that the person wants, they'll ask me in a psychic reading. And what happens to me internally is I see whether it's going to happen or not, but then I also go into why. And it could be that this person has about 16 different lessons to learn before that happens. 16 different growth experiences. And they'll say, what should I do? And I might say something like, you should visit this city. Oh, I've always wanted to go there. But what should I do about this thing? I'm like, uh, go for it, allow it to play out. But I'll drop this little message. They think it's so random. Oh, Riz told me to go to the city that I've always wanted to go to. Ha, it's a little cute part of the message. No, actually, what they
I
end up
remember
saying.
you telling someone in the Heal Squad that actually in our private sessions that we did in the Zoom.
Okay, so what ends up happening is that
I
little trip
remember that.
leads to 10 more experiences that help them really have a powerful path. And then more of those things start to happen for them. So psychic messages they come very subtle because the universe is not interfering with your path,
Yeah.
your spirit guides and angels, or whatever word you want to use. They are nudging you, whispering into your ear in the wind. Hey, try that. Try that. And then flow with that. Trust that. Don't do it timidly. Really go into it. So,
I think the hard thing for people is knowing who to listen to. And, I think we're
okay.
selective about what we listen to as well. You listen to what you want to really hear. And then
Listen,
when you
people
don't
will,
hear what you want to hear, you're like, oh, they don't know what they're talking
we're so visual.
about.
I know we're so visual because we will listen to, sometimes people won't even listen to a singer because they don't like the way the singer looks.
Yeah.
Or they'll listen to a singer because they like the way the singer looks.
Yeah. Or like I said, or like you said, when we're not present enough and quiet enough to receive it, process it, and realize, oh, like I think I've told the story before here. John Edward is a good friend of mine.
Mm,
He told Kevin and I,
yeah.
someone inside our inner circle is going to betray us and hurt us in
Oh,
such a bad way.
yeah.
And then little by little, we whittled it down to who it was. And we're
Yeah.
like, no way, this person's in our trust. They're family. We love them. There's no
And it
way this
happened.
person's getting everything, you know.
Right.
And then it happened. And
Right.
but when I look back now with what you just said, we were moving at lightning speed. We were so busy. He also said when I asked him about the brain tumor with my mom, he's like, I see two. And at the time I was thinking, oh, she must be getting another one. No, he saw mine. So
Oh. Right.
there's an interpretation that you need to now go home with and start kind of figuring out too, like, where would this apply? How could it apply? But I'm going to leave it right here for this episode because I really want to get into more of this, but I really also want to dive in deeper into what's coming up in 2025 for everybody.
Yes.
Your insights into the collective energy, the big shifts ahead, the
Yes.
political climate.
Yes.
There's a lot I want to know, even about the status of our money in this world is a little
Sure.
scary.
Yes.
I've been doing some deep dives on Dr. Jack Cruz, who has been talking about how there's just some weird shit that's gone on for a long, long time. And the
Mm,
second we want to go get our money, it's not going to be there.
mm,
But
mm.
I want to ask you as well. So, friends, do not miss tomorrow. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.